Hey everyone, it's Dr. RAMANI, and welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on all kinds of issues related to narcissistic relationships and just understanding this personality style. This channel is designed to help you sort of cope and heal from and make sense of the very confusing mess that is a narcissistic relationship. So this is one of the justifications I hear over and over again from people in narcissistic relationships. The thing that they keep saying is, maybe the narcissist can't help it. So let's take this one apart. Now, this statement, maybe they just can't help it, is often a justification that's levied in narcissistic relationships. A person will have a narcissistic partner, or parent, or boss, or friend, you name it, and they will say terrible and gaslighty and manipulative things, and it will feel awful. And yes, at times, these things the narcissistic person will say will be said impulsively. And then you will get a not really an apology, the whole, I didn't mean that when I said that, or I was mad, okay, just let it go. Then sometimes people will sometimes say that they have ADHD or that they are impulsive or that it's a relic from childhood because their own parent was cruel to them, and they say that they lash out because they were lashed out at in childhood. Now, those rationales will feel real to you, and you will take out and shine out all of those justifications you have for them and justify and say, you know what, I know they say terrible things, but they can't help it. They're just impulsive. And if they weren't impulsive, they wouldn't say those things. They can't help it. They had a tough childhood, and on and on. And then you can stay in the relationship and enable their impulsivity and their supposed ability to not be able to help themselves. I would actually buy this explanation that someone was so dysregulated or so impulsive or perhaps even psychotic that they could not help it. So they would just say what they say anytime, in front of anyone, without thinking. Honestly, if this is how it is in the particular narcissistic relationship you have in your life, that the narcissistic person berates you, yells at you, gaslights you, minimizes you, and dehumanizes you in front of anyone and everyone, then while I still definitely don't think that's healthy for you, I can almost buy the impulsivity justification. Because clearly, their impulsive, mean things they say to you are not context dependent. They just let it rip anytime, anywhere. It's on you if you want to be an emotional support animal for an adult with an impulsivity issue. That's a personal choice. But in the vast majority of cases, the narcissistic person is actually quite selective on how they will verbally abuse you. They may only berate you behind closed doors when other people can't hear or see it. I remember once talking with a woman who told me that her narcissistic mother would just scream at her over the phone and say atrocious and abusive things at full volume. But before the mother went off on her, she would check to make sure her husband wasn't in the room, like the daughter's husband was in the room, because she didn't want her son-in-law to be able to see, hear, or witness the mother's dysregulated and mean behavior. The mother was asking for that. In this case, the narcissistic parent knew that their behavior was not acceptable and made sure it would not be heard by someone else. The knowing and waiting until others are not present means that the impulsivity card can no longer be played. If a narcissistic person can wait long enough to insult you when there's no witnesses, then that's very calculated and strategic, not impulsive. Many times, for narcissistic people, having to put on a show for others is exhausting. They have to be nice to you and nice to other people because they don't want to lose the supply of being viewed as a good person. And in fact, many people are quite confused by their narcissistic relationships and wonder why these people, the narcissistic people in their lives who can be so cruel and hurtful, are able to keep it together in front of other people or even be nice to other people and then lash out at them in private afterwards. It's because of the narcissistic superficiality that we see and the need of the narcissistic person to look good publicly. The pressure of having to be on all the time for a narcissistic person who, while they need the narcissistic supply, don't like to have to be regulated, given that they often have so much contempt for other people. It's exhausting for narcissists to be on all the time. So they will often put on the show for others and then take it all out, all their exhaustion and frustration out on you later in private. Since narcissistic people know that putting on a show for other people will get them validation and supply, they do it. So that means that's why narcissistic people are able to turn it off and on. So this idea that they can't help it, it just doesn't hold water. It's a very popular justification, and in fact it lines up with why so many people with narcissistic personality styles walk around saying that they have attention deficit disorder or ADD. They're just so impulsive that sometimes they say, I lash out. It's my ADD. I can't help it. Or they use other ridiculous justifications. You know me. I'm just a little spicy. I got me a hot temper. I can't help it. Yes, you can. You have a frontal lobe. You can help it. The selectiveness of being able to be on good behavior, of narcissists being able to be on good behavior in front of others, and then be nasty and dysregulated and look ridiculously angry when no one else is looking, that selectiveness tells you that they can control it. So yes, they can. They can help it. When you keep spending time in these narcissistic relationships, the only sane way to do it is to see things clearly and stop justifying everything. It's easy to fall into the easy trap of, they can't help it. They don't mean it. I can't opine on whether they mean it. I am not in their head. But they can help it. And each time they go at you and come up with some excuse after the fact, I'm impulsive, I'm spicy, it's just too late, especially if this behavior is repeated. So again, going back, can they help it? Yes, they can. And how do we know it? Because if they're able to turn it off and on and be just perfect when you're in public and then lash out at you in private, that tells you they absolutely can help it. So please take that list off your list of justifications. Thanks again.